are recording. All right, welcome to tonight's masterclass again, everybody. And I will have a brief presentation I will go through. We will also have exercises that we delve into. And so pull out your pen and papers. If you haven't got one, I highly recommend, if you are multitasking, to pause and allow yourself to just fully be and get present to what you're going to discover about yourself today. So give yourself the space. How I invite you to participate tonight is there's 3 different ways in which you can participate. One is with cameras off, multitasking, doing other stuff. And even if your camera's off and you're still listening in, you will get a lot from tonight. However, retention tomorrow will probably be 10%. Option 2 is you'll have your cameras on and listen passively. And you will get a lot from tonight. And tomorrow you'll probably retain about 50%. And then option 3 is you'll have your cameras on, you have your pens ready, you scribble away notes, you ask, you question, you inquire, and you share. And then tomorrow you'll probably have about 90% retention. My commitment is that you walk away from the standalone masterclass having really unearthed and shifted a particular area of your life, and walk away with actual tangible tools around emotional reprogramming. We also will talk about the upcoming Healthy Relationships program in May, given we only run 3 cohorts in a year, for those of you that are keen to join the next cohort. With that said, in the words of Gaur Gopal Das, you are your most important project. If you are in place, everything else you want to do will be in place. I want you to just pause for a moment and reflect on just that. How often do you make yourself, your most important project? We will all too often, as adults, make our work deadline our most important project, our family commitments, our most important project, our everything else we have said yes to or are expected to say yes to or feel obliged to say yes to and show up for, put that ahead of ourselves, our priority, our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And on the Healthy Relationships program, you'll literally unplug and get to go within and finally discover what it is to reconnect with your authentic self and get connected to the most powerful, authentic version of yourself. And when you do go there, you get connected to a whole new realm of just exploring you, your purpose, and what's possible when you shed all those limiting beliefs and all the conformities and the yearning and desperateness to belong, to feel like a somebody. But we're going to come into that in a moment. My story and why I do this work. This is my husband and I, 2013, Edinburgh Fringe Festival, my birthday weekend, the first year of our marriage. We've been dating for 8 years and life was amazing. We've been living in London, him, JP Morgan, vice president. I have a doctorate in gynecology. And life felt like we ticked all the boxes. Everything society says, a beautiful apartment in West Kensington, him working, banking, me working in the biomedical space, and first year of marriage, beautiful honeymoon phase. But guess what? It wasn't just my birthday. We actually found out we were pregnant too. And that weekend was marking our 12 weeks of our pregnancy. And we were going to get our first 12-week scan on my birthday. And so as a treat, my husband took us to the Fringe Festival, which happens in Edinburgh. For those that aren't familiar with it, it's a month-long celebration and convening of the most extraordinary artists and comedians that come and showcase their art. And so people will enjoy and bask in that and come from all walks of life. And while we were there, we got there Friday night on the train from London. Saturday, we were pure tourists. And shortly after we took this photo, I felt heavy cramping in my abdomen. And by then we had attended quite a few shows during the day. We had had lunch and I was getting tired. 3 months pregnant at that stage. I asked my husband for us to head back to the hotel. And as I head back to the hotel room, I start heavily bleeding. And what then pursued shortly after was we witnessed the passing of our fetus right before our eyes. And we had just had a miscarriage. Now, you would have heard me say in my introduction, I have a doctorate in gynecology, and having spent a decade of working in obstetrics and gynecology and witnessing hundreds of babies be born, nothing ever prepares you for the emotional journey. And most certainly nothing ever prepares you for pregnancy complications or miscarriages. When I was doing my doctorate, it was all a statistic, and we were coming up with breakthrough discoveries of how to have pregnancies continue being healthy pregnancies and how to eradicate pregnancy complications. But there I was, holding in our hand our fetus that no longer was alive. It had passed through me, sobbing inconsolably, and perhaps the most physically and emotionally traumatic experience of our life up until that point. We were both inconsolable, and as a couple, probably experienced that level of grief for the first time. However, after that evening, we barely slept. We woke up, told our parents, nobody else knew at that stage. We were pregnant, and did what all humans are just taught to do. Dust your knees, push it all in, and carry on. Because that's what strong women do, right? Just brush it off, dust your knees, get back on. And that's what makes you really tough. That's what defines leadership. Except I call my manager. By then I had left the biomedical world. I'd gone into impact investing. And I called my manager on Sunday evening to just let him know what was happening. And very emotional on the call. And he said to me something I wasn't expecting. He said, I'm not expecting you back at work this week. Please rest, prioritize yourself, and I'm here if you need anything. For context, our London office at that stage was 2 people, him and I. We were headquartered in New York and had a global team across East and West Africa, India, Pakistan, Latin America. Our London office was purely for raising capital to invest in social entrepreneurs across these regions. And so our workload was never, ever light. And for him to say that to me was surprising, number one. Number two, threw me off guard. I didn't know what to do with all the free time. I was never taught to pause and give my emotions priority or space to surface. And so I walked around feeling really clueless and aimless on the Monday as Ronnie, my husband, went back to work. And then I chose to go to central London, our closest temple there. I don't know why I chose to go there, but I was like, maybe this is where people should go when they're grieving and feeling this emptiness that I am. And I just sat in the temple. I didn't know what to pray. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to feel. I just sat and was there. And then eventually came home and I felt something was being released, but there was no language. There was no direction. There was no sense of guidance through that process. Fortunately for me, Ronnie and I were going through a 3-month leadership program at that stage. So outside of our day jobs, we had started personal development programs by then. We both had a coach. And on this program, my coach got me to unearth all that I was speaking, all the unspokenness, all the emotions I never would label, because you stop doing that once you were past being kids and teenagers. You just showed up as your best foot forward and your best front, best mask. And that Thursday, we had our weekly leadership class. It was once a week in Holborn. We'd go there. And this particular leadership course had about 80 leaders from across London, across industries. And you want to be your best self in front of those people. Except the program leader, who knew what we had gone through and was extraordinary, called me to the mic. And as a class sang happy birthday for me, because remember, it was my birthday weekend we were away for. I stood on the mic and sobbed like a 5-year-old girl and shared with them what we had gone through. And as I looked up, not a single dry cheek in the room. And at the end of that evening session, so many people came up to me and said they had miscarriages. And I was just blown away by the fact that me sharing and being so raw and open and vulnerable had others lean in. It almost gave them permission, and we felt that much more closer. However, what was a real disruption in my social dynamic was that week, I had calls from my mates around the world, as it typically would every other year on my birthday. I've lived across 4 continents, born and raised in Zambia, then in New Zealand. My parents are still there. I've lived there for a decade, and then Australia for my doctorate, and then London and boarding school in India. So birthdays are a big reunion, get calls from all over. And to everybody, I had to say that week 2 things I'd never said before. One is, guys, I'm pregnant, because it was our first pregnancy, and 2, and we had a miscarriage. And what shocked me was Ronnie and I were perhaps the last to get pregnant out of all of our close mates' circles. As many of my girlfriends said they had been through the same. And I didn't know that. They never mentioned it. And up until the point, I always believed that our long distance friendships and soul bonds were absolutely unimpacted by the distance, and that our roots were so, so deep. But for the first time, I felt a gaping hole between us. I was angry and I was upset. How dare they not share that with me? And when on earth did it happen? For me, this is a full stop in my life. I feel like somebody's ripped my heart out of my chest, and I can't imagine not sharing it with them. How could they not share that with me? And through conversations with my coach, again, I got access to discovering 3 things that I wouldn't have otherwise. Number one, that I only got to express my feelings because I had a coach. In the absence of that, I too would have suppressed everything, brushed it off. Pain was too much, then wouldn't have shared it with everybody that would have called. Probably would have just told 1 or 2 of my close mates. Number two, that my coach gave me the space to release and heal. And number three, that every single one of us walk around like this in the absence of coaches and guides and mentors. We show the world one facade, one face. We're absolutely stripped and broken on the inside. And that really began the quest of my self-discovery. How on earth do we become the adults that we are? And it deepened when I finally became a mom 3 years later. When I became a mom 3 years later, I got to see this beautiful soul who chose as his parents, happy, healthy kid, and took 3 years to finally conceive our firstborn. And even before the age of 1, this kid commanded love everywhere he went. The busiest trains in London, the grumpiest faces would get lit up. Uncles I had known forever that only had one resting smiley, which is a frown, would get so happy to see this kid. And this kid couldn't even speak, and yet there was love and joy and connectedness everywhere I went with him. And I was like, oh my God, have I got gifted one of those special avatar kids? Is this like another Lord, Krishna, Ram, Jesus, or were we all born that way and become the adults that we are today? And the more I delved into spirituality and studies, what I discovered was we're actually all born that way, an expression of love. To be human, the essence of being human is loving. The essence of what it is to be heat or fire is heat, or the essence of sugar is sweetness. Similarly, as a human being, your core essence is to be loving. And by the time you hit age 2 or 3 max, the world starts happening to you. Parents happen to you, education happens to you, siblings happen to you, society happens to you. You get told you're a girl, you walk this way, you're an Indian girl, you talk this way, you eat this, you don't eat this, you say this, you don't say this, you wear this and you don't wear this. And from being this boundless source of energy and love and fearlessness, you get it categorized. But that's just not it. And then you get into the education system. The modern education system has zero context of spiritual education, what once used to exist 5,000 years ago. And over there, you're all ranked against the same subjects in the same way. And so naturally, somebody will come first and somebody will come and everybody else will come between second and last. And you're left feeling, hey, I don't know, something's not right here. But wait, there's more. And then all the other little incidents happen, being laughed at on the playground, being picked, in some instances being bullied. In some instances, just getting a yellow toy while your sibling gets a blue toy. And you wonder, what? Do they love him more than me, or do they love her more than me? Or even just the birth of a sibling. All the attention goes to your younger ones. From that, all the way through to physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, all under the age of 10. Even death, relocation, leaving homes, all of that. Have you depart from this authentic self to this survival mechanism that your brain creates purely to keep you alive. That's the birth of the ego. And the ego over here, guys, is not pride. Ego here is a biological response that your body has activated to keep you alive, because you at that age, under the age of 10, do not have the emotional faculties to deal with these unfamiliar emotions. You also don't have the biological processes developed to process the emotions. And so the ego is birthed in that moment to create this altered perception. What do I mean by that? I'm 9 years old. I'm playing with all our friends in Zambia. Social life was busy and amazing and abundant. There was about 80 or 90 expatriate families, all in the mining industry. So every weekend, our parents would get together and have lunches and dinners, and the kids would play in the big backyards of these large homes. And like every other weekend, there we were playing hide and seek and tag. And this one night, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I look up, and before I know it, I'm up against the wall, and there's 5 kids that form a semicircle around me. I know them. They're our family friends. They're slightly older, though, so I wasn't that close to them. I'm 9, and they're between 11 and 13. 3 boys and 2 girls, and the guy in the middle steps forward and says, "Hey, I hear you're spreading rumors about me." And I am very clear, I'm not saying anything about this guy, but I'm so terrified to open my mouth. I don't have the courage. And they start talking and mocking me. And my heart is thumping louder. I can't quite hear the words anymore. And the last thing I recall is the guy on my right saying, "Look at her face. She's going to start crying." They laugh louder and walk away. And in that moment, the ego gets birthed because subconsciously, 9-year-old Ambika feels like an absolute reject. Like, I don't belong. Something's wrong here. And when the ego is born, a very, very, very deep subconscious belief system gets created, which is, I'm never, ever, ever going to allow this experience to happen emotionally to feel like a reject. So what then unfolds over the years is I use my ability to make people laugh as my strength. And then that was Ambika's identity for her teens and her 20s. She was the fun person in the room. She'd make people laugh. She could be goofy. She was entertaining. She was the life of the party. She was the first one on the dance floor, last one off, social butterfly, favorite granddaughter. But what we don't realize is all those extraordinary strengths that the world saw me shining at got birthed from that deep-rooted subconscious belief that got birthed in a moment where I felt like a reject. And that's true for every human being. You could be president of a country, a billionaire, a very effective entrepreneur. You could be a great parent, but you know it's not your authentic self and it's your egoic self. The moment life doesn't go as planned, if you feel deep unrest, deep fear, a sense of unsettledness, that's your ego at play. Let's unpack the ego. How do you know your ego is running the show? How do you know you're just a reaction to childhood emotional wounds? It's because these symptoms will be prevalent in your life. What are the symptoms? Do you compete with others? Consciously, subconsciously, do you compare your life to others? Look at their car, their kids, their partner, their house, their wealth, their health, their body, their whatever. Are you often ruled by what people will think? That 100% was my life. For 30 years of my existence, what people will think ran the show of my life very subconsciously. I said I lived across 4 continents. And guess what? Everywhere I went, my accent changed, my likes changed, my dislikes changed. I want you guys to think about your lives currently, or the last several years, the last year, the last 5 years, the last decade. How much of you has been molded by the people you surround yourself with because of the fear of what will people think? There's this agitated state that often runs the show. You could be grand and happy, but there are blips. Underlying state is just a sense of unrest. What next? I'm not there yet. A sense of scarcity, and ultimately it's I-centric, all focused on the I. That fearful existence is symptomatic of the ego running the show, running your show. And what happens is when the ego is birthed, it's constantly then seeking self-worth externally, family, community, purpose, world. How many of you seek validation in your titles, in your financial status? I 100% did. 100% did. Getting a doctorate felt like I was becoming a somebody. And then the industry just wasn't my true nature. It wasn't my soul power. It took me a lot of personal development work and leadership programs to get that. So I left the biomedical world and went into 8 years in impact investing in London. I absolutely loved it. I discovered so much about myself, but my strength in that role in business development was also around relationships. Not so much so raising capital. I raised the capital as a byproduct of my ability to create these kind of relationships. But ultimately, what I got from all the program I was doing on the side was coaching is my calling. And I've been doing it now for 12 years. And I absolutely love it. But that time, FITBANKER, our business wasn't birthed. FITBANKER came into existence 2015, so exactly 10 years ago. But up until that point, I sought self-validation. My parents, yes. In my community, nodding and smiling. In my purpose, in my career, everything. And guess what? When life doesn't go as planned, who do we blame? The world. Our parents messed us up. My partner screwed up. My in-laws are the nutty ones. My boss is so messed up. My ex didn't get it right. And now in the world of social media, whoa, they have given us ammunition with labels, real loaded labels to validate our blame game. That person is this way, and that person is this way, and this community is this way, and this person this way. It's all the work of the ego, me versus you. But guess what? You can change partners, you can change jobs, you can change head countries, but you will take that fractured part of you that got disconnected to your authentic self in your formative years everywhere you go. You may try and change the world, but it isn't going to change. The universe will keep sending you the same energies and the same characteristics and the same people, different names, but the same emotional journey over and over again. Can anybody relate to that? Different people, but same emotions, different countries, but same emotions, that same anger, the same envy, the same jealousy, the same attachment, all mental toxins. It's not specific to you, nor does it make you bad, wrong, or broken. We all go through it whenever we're running life through the ego. So what do you do with that? Now that I've told you that, what do you do with that information? The beauty of doing the inner work is you get to transform it. So in the Healthy Relationships program, what you get taught is life's always happening, guys. If I tell you to do the Healthy Relationship program and you will be Zen, I wouldn't be telling you the truth. I've been doing this work for 12 years, and you will still see me still see moments of me going to Godzilla with my husband. The difference is I can catch the reaction from what would be days to moments and release it and return to my authentic self. When we don't know the reaction's ours, we will sit in that toxic mental space, which is self-inflicted, and we don't know it is, for many moments, perhaps even many years. We can be in spaces where our norm has become resentment or anger. And guess what? Biologically, you're completely impacting every part of your being. We run a whole module on the mind-body connection in another program. Every single disease is manifested by your emotional imbalance. And on this program, you get to reprogram your emotions at a deep subconscious level. So life is always happening, guys. It ain't going to shift. There'll be storms, there'll be whatever, right? Sunny days. Here you get trained to see how you choose it's happening. There are 4 different levels of consciousness you get taught to go through. Most human beings, 99% of them, are experiencing this life happening to me, right? My wife made me, for some of you, while you love the ones who invited you, but there may be some who are like, oh, I'm here because they forced me to, nudge, nudge, or whatever else, right? So, but that mindset is also happening to me. Well, people who get on the program and they're like, oh, my partner made me do this. Or how many of you are blaming the world, the economy, COVID, in-laws, kids for your current status? That person took my promotion. In my last role, I was very, very clear I was going to be promoted to director. It was such an amazing year. And then up comes the appraisal. I'm like, you're really good, but actually this other person has more industry experience, so you're not going to be made director. And I was absolutely crushed. I was absolutely crushed. It truly was the sense of life's happening to me, right? But because all my self-worth was in that title. And in that moment, there was 9-year-old Ambika feeling like a reject. You get it? Your fractured toddler brain trigger is what we call it. We have a whole module on it. Doesn't go away. It will surface the moment life doesn't go as planned, and you just don't know it. So you will think it's a job. And I was so upset at my manager. I was like, oh my God, they just don't get how great I am. But no, it was perfect. It was happening for me. That industry wasn't my truest nature. That job wasn't my truest nature. It was extraordinary to be able to see my reaction and then do something about it. From life happening to me, you get to transform your perception of life and get into life is happening for me. This fundamental shift, guys, from 3 or 4 weeks of our program alters your entire perception of everything, your current life, but more importantly, your past life. You got to transform your past. Now, you won't change your incidents. The incidents that have happened. Objectively, if I were a fly on the wall, everything that you've seen, I would have seen. But the way it transforms is through your perception. And that is the most powerful gift you can give yourself, liberation from your past. From there, you get to transform. This is where leadership programs come in. When you start to discover life happening through me. And life happening through me is when you become a conduit. And ultimately, the highest level of consciousness is life is happening as me. So our coaches are trained at this level. But the first 2 levels of consciousness is very much an individual game. Me, myself, I. And the more you do this inner excavation of your heart and restoring yourself and returning to your authentic self and shedding all these limiting beliefs that the ego's created about what you are and what you aren't. You rise to your collective self. And that process, guys, is healing. The most powerful space and gift you can give yourself. Having created that and having discovered that for myself, the last decade has really been this journey of being in corporate spaces and really being a stand that people unshackle themselves from past narratives that don't serve them anymore. Release the ego. It's done us so well. It got me my doctorate. It got me around the world. I've spoken at medical conferences around the world. I've spoken at impact investing conferences around the world. I've networked. I've made beautiful relationships, and I can release it. I can release it and get that my true nature is unleashing human potential. Every one of those bricks got me to where I am, and every one of those spaces of feeling not enough got me closer to feeling whole again by doing the inner work. And that's my stand for you. And that's why we have held the Healthy Relationship Program. And so I'm going to get into an exercise with you guys in a moment, but I just want you to pause for a moment and now be really straight with yourself in the way you just heard me be straight with you. What really is an area of your life that isn't working as well as you'd like it to? I'll give you guys a few moments to just reflect on this. Now, some of you are sat with your partners and some of you sat with your mates. And Sanjay and Devangani, if your guests need some space, I'd invite you to dial in from another device so they can just be, right? If need be. But everybody, I'd love for you to just really look at what's at stake right now, what's on the line for me, what's an area of my life. And it may not be relationship with other people. It could be relationship with self, relationship with money. What isn't working as well as you'd like it to? For the intention of this masterclass and this exercise, put something down on your pen and paper, and I'll give you guys 2 minutes to just reflect. You could write a word, you could write a sentence, you could put a paragraph, get it out of your body, put it out there on paper so you can actually see what it is you want to transform. I'm just going to grab my device and be back in a minute. All right. Now that you have something to work with, we will get into a visualization exercise. And for that, I'm going to have you guys just put your pen and papers down and get comfortable. It's a 2-minute visualization exercise. And if you could please get comfortable, legs can either be crossed or flat on the ground. Your hands could be placed gently on your thighs, facing upwards. And when you're ready, close your eyes, please. And again, if you are multitasking, my request is just to pause for the intention of this exercise to give yourself the opportunity to explore a whole different realm. Once your eyes are closed, if you could please ensure your back, neck, and head are in a straight line. That is when energy flows through us the most. That is most optimal. And just get connected to your breathing. No forceful breathing, just your breath as it is. I'd like you to now visualize yourself 1 year from today. It's the end of 2026, or slightly over a year. December 31st, 2026. And you are feeling energized, revitalized. Every part of your being is feeling alive and light and lit up and content and deeply rooted. From head to toe, you feel a sense of groundedness, inner peace, inner joy. You feel a sense of enormous wealth in the joy you experience and in your every lived moment on that particular day. Experience your body in full flow. Experience the joy, experience the inner peace. How are you feeling physically? How are you feeling emotionally? You're in your most favorite location in the world. And there's a smile in your heart, a smile in your face. And you look back at the last several months and you think about this masterclass and the area of your life that you put down that wasn't working or wasn't working as well as you'd like it to has completely transformed. All that wasn't working, all the upset, all the unrest disappeared, transformed, gone. And in its space, all there is love, peace, contentment, and deep gratitude for the journey you've been on over the last several months. And as you sat there with your eyes closed, experiencing the gratitude, experiencing the release of all the upset, the disempowerment, and all that wasn't working, release all the negative emotions and experience that sense of contentment. I'd like you to take your hands and just wrap them around yourself as a self-hug while your eyes are still closed. And give yourself a tight squeeze. If you are with others, give yourself permission to give up what they're thinking. This is your time. Give yourself a tight hug out of gratitude for the transformations, for the healing, for all that's shifted. I'd like you to say out loud to yourself, I am loved. I am enough. Thank you, universe, for the abundance. I am healed. And I continue to surrender to creative solutions. more hug and slowly rub your palms together with your eyes still closed. Place your palm over your eyes. With your palms over your eyes, feel the heat, feel the sensation of touch. Rarely do we feel our own touch. Bring gratitude to this moment of stillness. Slowly open your eyes while they're still cupped. And bring your palms down the side of your face and down to your heart center in a Namaste Mudra. Thank you very much. Welcome back. I'd love to hear from one or two of you. What was that experience like? Visualizing your future self, having transformed all that currently occurs as not working. Who would like to share? Manisha, go for it.
I just felt like it was like a bit of a weight lifted. I felt a bit more grounded, but like a heavy weight had been lifted off of me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Manisha. Who else? Is there anybody else who felt something different to what Manisha shared that you'd like to share? And again, the more you guys get to participate and share and give up the concern of what will people think, the more you get to discover about yourself. Bhavna, Sheila, Usha, Navin, Disha, Kushbu.
Yeah,
How's
sure.
that for you guys?
Yeah,
Go
it
for
was
it.
good. It was good to do the visualization exercise. So I do quite a lot of that regularly, but I think having a timeline kind of felt different. Don't normally do that.
Mm,
I can visualize the changes I want, but I don't sort of set anything. So it's kind of ongoing, but it's nice to have something in mind to aim for.
right. Nice. And what specifically did you enjoy about it? If you unpack it, right, when you say the timeline was new,
Mm.
what specifically felt different about putting a timeline there?
Yeah, I guess it kind of forces you in a way to then visualize those changes that you want in your life. I don't know, it just felt different.
Okay, well done. And why I ask you that specifically is at times we can do things, but unless we actually get to the source of what actually felt different this time, and then how can I incorporate that into my regular practice, given you do visualization regularly, at times we can miss the essence of what actually took us to a different place. And so you want to just reflect on what felt different about this time. Thank you so much for sharing. So guys, with that created and the space you're in, what I'd love to do is very quickly have you guys hear, you've heard my narrative, you've heard my journey, but hear stories of others who've been on a masterclass like you and then been through the program and just a quick blip of what they got.
So I did my healthy relationship program this year, January, and that's the time I was doing my FITBANKER 90-day challenge for the second time as well. And there's a lot of stuff I got to like unearth, things that I didn't even know had an effect on me. I realized my direct and immediate reaction to anything is anger. And I got to learn a lot of tools, on about anger, about a lot of other stuff, and how to just be a happy, joyous person, and the kind of mom, wife, daughter that my family needs. My family moved from India to Kenya when I was in Form 1, year 8. So being a teenager, left my friends there, made new ones here, but until I didn't know that this had a huge impact on me and my life. And like this one, there were so many other things I didn't know affected me as a person. But I got to clear all those emotions. As I said, learned a lot of tools for my future. And now I can be fun, joyful, and a happy person, to be around for my kids, especially, and my husband. My communication has become amazing with my husband and other family members, but primarily husband because we're together 24/7. So, yeah, life is amazing. And I think everybody should do healthy relationship program because you don't know what is affecting you, or you don't know what is triggering all the responses that you are immediately like going into. So yeah, that's me. Right. I have to say that the Healthy Relationships program is probably the most valuable and important gift I've given myself this year. I didn't realize it at the time, but coming into the program, I knew I was in a very low place. But in retrospect, I can see that I was in the depths of despair, actually. I'd lost my joie de vivre, my will to live, really. I just didn't see the point of my being here on this earth. And through the program, I was just so supported and loved and encouraged. It was so multidimensional. I'm still feeling the benefit of having taken part of the program. I have a newfound joy in life, love for myself and self-compassion, and just a real passion. Yeah, I've got my mojo back. Thanks.
All right. With that, how do the people have the breakthroughs? How do your loved ones that have all invited you here have what they have? 3 stages of a program. Number 1, you unpack your identity. How did you become the way you are? How did Disha become the way she is? How did Manisha, how did Khushbu, Navin, all of you? How have you become the people that you are? And once you get to unpack that through these series of life map exercises and really unearthing that in a very structured, safe way so you can deal with whatever comes out, you get to heal from and reconstruct your past using 5 healers. Ancient tools from ancient spiritual practices, and yet very applicable in our modern day and age for anybody from any walk of life. And then once you have that and you get to arrive in this moment as your whole self, your whole authentic self, you get to discover your purpose and create a whole new reality. With that said, I did say I wanted you to walk away today with just individual tools. So firstly, what you do get in the program is you're going to bring awareness to emotional patterns that you don't even know are running the show during struggles, and you get to alter that. Anxiety and agitation, if that has been running your show and you experience that, you got to de-escalate that. And we're going to do an exercise in a moment on how you can learn to shift anxiety in the moment. Use tools to proactively create new thought patterns that enable and empower you to overcome typical situations. How many of you experience the same conversations on replay, same emotional pattern? You know what they're going to say because you know that when I feel this way, I'm going to say this, and it's like a never-ending thing. And prevent you from moving forward. You get to park all of that aside and create a whole new thought pattern. Transform the status of your relationships, 100% guaranteed. You do the program by design, I will promise you that outcome is guaranteed. You harness peace of mind and gain the freedom of authentic self-expression, and you elevate, ultimately, what we're all seeking is elevating your everyday experience of joy, abundance, and gratitude. You think it's the next car, or next partner, or next job, or next title, or next holiday, or next whatever, but ultimately, the search is for joy, abundance, and gratitude. And when you experience that internally, it's a whole new world. With that said, here are 3 emotional biohacks. So biohacks are basic tools that actually give you access to altering your biology. All right, the first one is gratitude. Now we just on the current cohort are doing a whole module on gratitude. Gratitude is not just a feel-good thing, being in a la la land or some woo stuff out there. Gratitude scientifically has been proven to alter your physiology, shift your nervous system from a stress response to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is going from your fight or flight mode, which most human beings are currently overly activated in, to a rest and recovery nervous system, which is critical. And you get to shift from this high level cortisol running the show to endorphins and happy hormones starting to come into existence through gratitude. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, gratitude has been well studied and well practiced to show its benefits. So now on a sheet of paper, or actually move away from paper, in the chat box, given there's a nice diverse mix of you, I'd love for you guys to put in the chat box 3 things you're grateful for about yourself. And for some, this will be deeply disruptive because we just never have time to acknowledge ourselves or see nothing to acknowledge ourselves for. And as you guys are thinking and starting to type, I'll tell you a story. So the same 3-month leadership program I told you about earlier tonight, when that 3-month program ended, I mean, my husband and I had the largest breakthroughs. But at the end of that program, on the final day, we each had to prepare 3 things we were grateful for about ourselves. I'd never done that in my life before. I'd never gotten on a stage to acknowledge myself. I could wholeheartedly acknowledge my coach and the program leader and everybody else very, very, very generously. But the assignment was go and acknowledge yourself. And there was such a state of bankruptcy. It took so much to think of just 3 things to acknowledge myself for, because our ego is hardwired to tell us something's wrong here, I don't belong, and I'm not loved from our formative years. And that becomes a narrative as adults, and you don't even realize it. And the more you return to gratitude, the more you start to shift a childhood narrative to start healing those emotional fractures from your formative years. So in the chat box, I start seeing, all right, I see things popping up. Disha has put down strength, hopeful, determination. Kushbu's completely taken care by the universe, aware, authentic, beautiful. Devangani, confident. 2 more. What are you grateful for about yourself? So, all right, Sanjay, grateful for the house and the food I get. For the space, I'm grateful for the space I get in my family. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for the love I give. Beautiful. Who have I not heard from? Navin, I'd love to hear from you. Has Manisha put something in the chat box? Manisha, I'd love to hear. Oh, Manisha's put something right in. All right. Being healthy, compassionate, loving, and my community. Love it. All right. Who else? Sheila, have you put something in yet? Type away. If not, Usha, I'd love to hear from you, unless the Sanjay response was from Usha. And then who else have we not heard from? Disha's already put something in. Well done. And Sheila, I'm grateful for my family. Awesome. 2 more, Sheila. And while you're doing that, health, integrity, ethics, my love of my parents. Beautiful. Love it. Fantastic. So now that you guys have done that, firstly, well done. Just for the show of hands, who found that slightly uncomfortable or awkward to put down 3 things you're grateful for? Okay, thank you. Who does it on a regular basis? Not on a regular basis. All right, Kushbu, beautiful. And who is doing this for the first time? Pausing and just, all right, well done. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing that so authentically. I really appreciate you guys being candid and participating. And Sheila's other entries are grateful for the opportunities that land my way and grateful for good things. Beautiful. All right. With that, the next thing I'd like you guys to put down in the chat box is, and this may require a little more introspection. List 3 things you're grateful for in advance for the life you've created. So what that looks like is you guys just did a visualization exercise, either related to that or related to anything else in the future that you really wish is going to happen. Be grateful for it in a way, speak it into existence in a way that has already happened. For example, if I would like to get a six-pack, then in the gratitude I write, I'm grateful I've got a six-pack. If I want a Lamborghini, I'm grateful for a Lamborghini. If I want to become a monk, I'm grateful I met the criteria to be a monk, right? So you're speaking your future into existence by bringing gratitude to it as if it's already happened. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. So list 3 things in the chat box for what you're grateful for in advance for life that you've created. Now, don't say I'm grateful that that is going to happen. No, be grateful like it's already happened, except that it's in the future. You're manifesting, creating a future. And you can actually put it in notebooks or you can put it in the chat box, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And think about anything. Think about your wealth status. Think about your health, your friendships, holidays, wanting to meet family more often, wanting to let your hair down more often, wanting to whatever, swim in the ocean, lead a healthy life, normal life, and happy life. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. What else? Visualize the future that has worked out exactly the way you want it to, and bring full gratitude to it. And I'll give you guys 2 minutes to do that. Actually, I'll give you guys another minute to do that. We're almost at time. And then I'm going to wrap it up with another exercise. Spiritual evolution, dream life, love. Beautiful. Thank you, Khushbu. Is there anybody who can't even think of one thing yet? Is there anybody who can't even think of one thing on that list yet? Okay, so everybody's got at least one thing on your list? Perfect. So with that, I'm going to have you guys, let me see more answers trickling in. Truly loving, caring life partner, beautiful. Grateful for the position that I have got in helping colleagues in self-belief. Grateful for my husband and children, beautiful. Grateful for living a more non-materialistic life, living with family in harmony, living in warmer places. Awesome. Come to Zambia, Manisha. That I haven't yet told you guys my story of my journey back to Zambia. I'm in Zambia now, which happened during COVID. But it's warm all year round. I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for having good health, having great friends, and my ability to help others. I'm grateful for all the love in my life. Beautiful, you guys. That's so rich and so abundant. All right, with that, the second tool. So number 1, I want you guys to walk away with gratitude. And guys, I'm going to invite you to do exercise number 1 daily for the next 7 days. 3 things you're grateful for yourself, and 3 things you're grateful for in advance for the life that you're creating. I promise you, the more you appreciate in your current life, the more you will find to appreciate in every moment that's coming your way. You don't appreciate your current life, you will have the same fractured mindset in the future, in the tomorrow, in the next moment. And that same fractured mindset will find nothing to be grateful for in that moment. So the more you appreciate, the more you will have to appreciate. It's a very simple biological mindset and emotional perspective. Compassion. Compassion is standing in, giving yourself permission to see that all that you have done and all that you have seen and all that you have said and all that you have not done so far has been with a consciousness you've had up until this point. Bring compassion to yourself. for the consciousness you had and release that self of yours. Give yourself permission to bring compassion to yourself for all the mistakes and all the errors that you made, for that's the level of consciousness you had at that point. And the more you commit to being in these kind of rooms and these kind of spaces and commit to growth, the more your inner self and higher self will heal and transform and evolve. It's an ongoing journey. There's no peak, there's no destination to get to. We are all on an ongoing journey. And therefore, it's so important to release and bring compassion to your past self. Even a second before this moment is your past self. Bring compassion to him or her because they knew what they knew with the consciousness they had, full stop. And in this moment, you have another consciousness, and honor that version of you. And we have a whole module on compassion. And it's such a powerful tool when you truly get to stand in that perspective, right? And again, it's towards self. Forget everybody else in the world, because your harshest critique is not the mom-in-law, it's not your boss, it's not your partner, it's not your kids, it's you. I'm going to let you in on a secret. You think, you feel angry, jealous, upset, attached, guilt because of what others have said to you. You want to consider others show up because you have those emotions. Every single thing externally that you see is a mirror projection of your inner universe. Everything. And that narrative mustn't be received with a sense of, oh my God, so I'm to blame. Not at all. Quite the opposite. If you can experience agitation and in your life, you 100% can transform that to experience abundance and love and joy. Your inner transformation can alter the most grumpiest person or upset or broken person in your life by you altering your inner energy. And everybody else is on their own path and their own healing. So we're not in the business of transforming another. We're in the business of taking ownership of ourselves and our perception and our life. And even if everybody shows up by societal agreement as bad, wrong, unethical, it still won't ruffle your internal world because you have done the inner work and you don't feel like that reject anymore. You don't feel like not enough or not heard or not seen or not loved because you have healed those childhood emotional narratives. And the last tool I'm going to leave you guys with is connecting with your breath. I said to you, I'm going to give you something to deal with everyday stresses or anxiety. Your breath is the most powerful emotional regulator. In that moment, when you feel a tightness of chest, or you feel anger rising, or you feel the need to get really upset and it's familiar and there's a breakdown, your breath can be your best friend in shifting your emotional state immediately. Now, often people will say, just breathe, but you cannot physically breathe if you're in a state of anxiety, right? So often with breathing, movement is required. So I will teach you now a very simple yet very effective breathing technique. And over the course of the program, we do multiple different breathing techniques, right? And this is a good one just to regulate your emotions. Whenever you're feeling agitated, upset, or you feel a chest tightening, pause. All right. So for this, I'm going to have you raise your arms, shoulder level. So raise your arms shoulder level and just take a deep breath in through your nose. And then slowly exhale with your mouth. And open up your arms very slowly, very intentional movement. And try and take your elbows as far back as possible. Fully exhale and suck your belly in. Fully exhale. Hold there for a few moments. Inhale. Hold here and extend the belly. Fully extend the belly out. Let it hang. Hold for 3, 4, 5. And exhale fully. Suck the belly fully in. Suck it and release, release, release. All that doesn't serve you anymore. Take a deep breath in. This time, if you want, you could shut your eyes and just focus on the point between your eyebrows. That is called your Ajna chakra, your energy field. Deep breath in all the way to your belly. Have your belly fully extended. Eyes can be closed to avoid distractions. Focus on the point between your eyebrows and fully exhale, sucking the belly all the way in, and just visualize gray, light gray energy coming out of your body, releasing all the toxic, upsets, agitation, everything that doesn't serve you anymore. Next breath in, breathe in. Visualize this time, white light entering your nostrils, illuminating your whole body, head to toe, filling you with oxygen, filling you with love, filling you with joy. And exhale fully, sucking the belly all the way in, arms right to the back, open that chest up. And last one in, deep breath in, full intentionality. Hold, 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 and fully exhale. Gently stretch your arms out and place them on your thighs. Thank you, guys. Just with a show of hands, if you feel lighter after doing that, give me a thumbs up. If you feel no different, do that. If you feel not so great, give me a thumbs down. Navin, the same. Bhavna, the same. Okay. Manisha, better. Sanjay, lighter. Sheila, lighter. Great. So this is very quick. So in reality, guys, for those of you that feel slightly lighter, this was just 5 breaths, right? And for Bhavna and Navin and everybody else, you ideally want to be doing this for a minute if you do no breath work, right? But in the moments of anxiety, in the moments of your chest tightening, you could do it even for 5 minutes. But the idea is, how do you use your breath as a bridge between your current reality, where you're perceiving something that's occurring as a threat externally, and therefore unsettling your emotions, to regulate you and return to your authentic self, to a space of safety, love, and abundance. But guys, these are very, very, very simple techniques, right? In the program, we take you through a lot of deep inner heart excavation, right? And every week we will have different breathing techniques, different meditations, and then of course, an entire curriculum where you will go inwards and do the work. For now, I'm gonna wrap up and invite you all, get on the journey with us. That's why your loved ones have got you here. It's 11 webinars over 11 consecutive weeks. I lead the program. Every webinar is recorded. We have people from across the world. They get on the cohort. It is, you get your own designated coach, weekly group coaching calls. And if any part of you thinks, oh my God, it's group coaching, I can't do that, I need one-to-one. I have done one-to-one coaching in my 12 years, and I've done group coaching. And by far, the more effective model is group coaching, because in hearing other people get coached, you will meet versions of yourself, number one. And number two, you will get that every single person deals with the same fear of what will people think. When you get liberated from that, you get to meet a whole new version of you. But above all, you get to build a tribe who get to connect so deeply. By the end of it, they become soul family. So you have access to a global community. We're committed to empowering each other. It's £1,499 for 11 weeks. You have an offer, a mega super special offer, which is not on our website, valid for the next 24 hours, which is you get to sign up for £649 just for the next 24 hours by being on the masterclass. The website is FITBANKER, where you register.com/HR for healthy relationships. And the promo code you get to use for this mega special discount is MC promo, Masterclass promo. And if you are based in Africa or Asia, which none of you are in this program, then there is a discount just factoring in different currencies, but that is invalid for this group. But I'm going to pause there. Any questions by anybody? Anything about the course that you'd like to inquire upon? Thank you so much, Kushbu. Big hugs and loads of love to you. Next course starts May 22nd, as you have over here. Navin, awesome. Thank you to have you here. If nothing else, guys, I'm going to wrap up with this quote by Eckhart Tolle. Always say yes to the present moment. What could be more futile, more insane than to create inner resistance to what already is? What could be more insane than to oppose life itself, which is now and always now? Surrender to what is, say yes to life, and see how life suddenly starts working for you rather than against you. On that note, lots and lots of love, big hugs, and we're always here to serve you. And I really look forward to connecting with you more deeply. Hope to see you in the next program. I know your loved ones will stand for you. From my end, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And here are my details. If anybody does want to reach out directly, feel free to email, connect on WhatsApp. I am very available on WhatsApp and more regularly accessible. So thank you all very much. Bye all.
Bye-bye.